Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today's update is great, man. It looks like NBA YoungBoy is officially about to be free. Now, I'm going to be referencing a report from Rolling Stone that came out a couple of minutes ago, and they break it down in detail exactly what took place in court today, man, and why we can finally get a little bit more joyous, especially if you're an NBA YoungBoy fan, about the potential of him being free now and going to his estate in Utah. Now, before we get to the specifics and break this story down, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, man, let's talk about NBA YoungBoy finally getting free, man. Now, it seemed like he was in limbo for a second there, and the video I dropped earlier today, it talked about the fact that NBA YoungBoy was kind of getting the runaround in the system, it seemed like. Nobody could predict when he was going to come out exactly, but we did know that he was going to court today. Now, in the story from the Rolling Stone, it says this in the headline. It says, NBA YoungBoy is getting out of jail. I mean, you can't get more simple than that. It just seems like right to the point. Now, the story says this. It says, YoungBoy never broke again, is expected to walk out of a Louisiana jail Tuesday afternoon on his way to house arrest in Utah. Now, it goes on to say that federal prosecutors on his pending California gun case agreed to the terms of the $1.5 million bail and home detention ordered in his separate Baton Rouge gun case by a federal judge last week. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock lately or haven't been paying attention, NBA YoungBoy had got his bond previously approved in the Baton Rouge court last week, and it was getting his fans were all happy, man. Everybody was up in joy, right? Then California said stop. He's got a gun case here in California, so you know what? We need him to be on hold until we get this whole thing squared away. Now, based on this report, the federal prosecutors in California agreed to the terms of the $1.5 million bail and the home detention that he's going to be having to stay in Utah. Now, the story continues by saying this. It says, in quotes, "I'm really, really happy for him," defense lawyer Drew Finling told Rolling Stone after the Tuesday hearing in Baton Rouge. "This is the right result. It's the fair result." So that was his lawyer talking. Basically, everybody's ecstatic about the fact that NBA YoungBoy is coming home. Now, it also says that YoungBoy, whose legal name is Kentrell Gaulden, was granted the $1.5 million bail with strict house arrest that includes a GPS monitor after a 3-day hearing last week in his Louisiana gun case. The judge made the ruling from the bench on Friday, but Gaulden remained in custody over the weekend because he was still the subject of a hold in California related to the firearm found in the back of the car when he was arrested on a Louisiana warrant in Los Angeles in March. Now, that was a mouthful, but basically they're referencing the original arrest back in March time frame, you know, where they said that NBA YoungBoy ran out the car and they had to send out the K9 unit to find him. They're talking about that. Now, they're saying that when he was arrested that time, that there was a weapon found in the car. You know what I mean? Now, it goes on to also say this. It says, when Gaulden, a.k.a. NBA YoungBoy, appeared before a U.S. magistrate judge in Baton Rouge on Tuesday, federal prosecutors said they consulted with their colleagues in the Central District of California and learned they would not be seeking pretrial detention, Finland said. So it looks like they're not going to be seeking pretrial detention in that case. So they talked to the U.S. magistrate judge in Baton Rouge to clear all this thing up. Now, Gaulden was expected to post the first $500,000 of his bail Tuesday and be released under the strict terms of his bond agreement in a matter of hours, Finling said. Now, if you guys remember, in his case file, there was a document that showed a wire transfer for $500,000 from NBA YoungBoy's LLC to his lawyer and his attorney's account. So obviously, they were using that money to cover the expenses of his bond. Now, it continues by saying, "I'm extremely overwhelmed with gratitude as a result of last week's hearing and think this was the just decision," he said. And that's the lawyer Drew Finland right there, right? And obviously they were happy about the decision, right? Now, it also says that the Baton Rouge-bred hip-hop prodigy attended last week's hearings in custody as his lawyers pleaded for his release under an elaborate plan that involved Golden moving into his residence in Layton, Utah. I'm not sure where Layton, Utah is, but if you remember the story that came out last week, he has a place in Utah that he bought while he's been incarcerated, I believe, and that's like close to a mentor of his that he's had his whole life. So it should be a place where he can get away and just make music. Now, it continues by saying, and paying a private security firm staffed with ex-military to enforce his home detention. And just like the joke said, man, last week, it sounds like they got like a complex or a compound for NBA Youngboy to carry on and just to get to the studio and make sure he stays out of trouble. But whatever works, right? Now, the story also continues by saying this. It says, the lawyers brought in a woman named Kyrie Oliver who testified that she met Youngboy while working at a Baton Rouge school and struck up a mentoring relationship with him. Oliver told the court that if it granted Youngboy bond, she would assist in keeping an eye on him. So this is the person that they're talking about is the mentor to him. Now, before they were reluctant with saying what the name of the person was or even the city that NBA Youngboy would be living in, but it seems like with this report, they got all the information, so let's get with it. Now, in a motion obtained by Rolling Stone, prosecutors took an aim at Oliver's testimony, saying Golden had paid Oliver nearly $600,000 between January 4th and February 1st for celebrity assistance services. They argued the large sum of money calls into question her suitability to serve as a quasi-custodian for Youngboy because challenging him would risk her and her family losing a substantial money from their pipeline or a substantial financial pipeline. Now, basically, they're saying since Youngboy has paid her in the last 2 months or earlier this year for 2 months, he paid her $600,000. So that's like $300,000 each month. And they're saying that that's so much money that, you can't even afford to tell him to say no. And that was their case. But I'm guessing the judge went against that. Now, prosecutors posed a similar conflict of interest argument related to the proposed security firm Bedrock, saying the company stood to earn $21,000 a week for its services. They also urged the court to discount the sympathetic testimony from Atlantic Records chairwoman Julie Greenwald, saying her company has more than $2 million invested in NBA Youngboy and intends to build him a home studio. The court allowed the defense to respond Friday and ultimately ruled in Golden's favor. So based on this story, it seems like the prosecution tried to contest everything, man. They tried to say the lady was already getting paid too much, who's supposed to be his mentor. They didn't like the fact that, Julie Greenwald, who is, that's a well-known name in the record industry, and she, basically the boss over there at Atlantic, and she let it be known that they got a studio and everything. And the judge and the court went with NBA Youngboy getting free. So there's a good news, man. A federal grand jury indicted the Outside Today rapper in March, charging him with being a felon in possession of an unregistered Masterpiece Arms 9mm and a .45 caliber Glock Model 21 pistol when he was arrested September 28th, 2020. Now that was the situation where he was having the music video shoot and he got arrested with like 15 other cats, right? By Baton Rouge police before jurisdiction in this case was transferred to federal officials. So they're saying he was originally arrested by the Baton Rouge police, but it was transferred over to the federal officials. Now, Youngboy's lawyers claim he was the victim of a targeted dragnet involving a disputed 911 call about a group of people gathered outside his grandfather's house shortly before his arrest. Less than 2 weeks after he was indicted, Youngboy was arrested in Los Angeles and returned to Louisiana. Finling said Golden agreed Tuesday to appear in court for future hearings in his Los Angeles and Baton Rouge cases. So NBA Youngboy is going to make an effort to make sure that he's there for court. Now, once out of custody, the 21-year-old streaming sensation is expected to continue making music at his home studio in Utah. His most recent album, Sincerely Cantrell, became his fourth to hit #1 on the Billboard 200 chart and knocked Drake's Certified Lover Boy out of the top spot last month with more than 186 million on-demand streams. And like we know, man, NBA Youngboy is a monster when it comes to that streaming, man. He's the king of YouTube right now as far as rappers is concerned. And this is a good look for him and his team, man. It looks like, man, this ended up well. And he'll be out of jail, according to this story, at least by later on this afternoon, man, and heading on his way to Utah. He might actually be already headed there right now. But what do you guys think about this? Are you happy that NBA YoungBoy finally got his bond and it seems like it's clear cut he's going to be in Utah working on music? Or do you feel like this is only the beginning and there's a lot more left to this case? Now with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Hold up, and I don't want to end on a negative note. So yo, welcome home NBA YoungBoy, you know, glad NBA YoungBoy is free and all that. Now with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.